from my words, place a guard over my mouth, and watch me with the door of my lips. So when I was 8 years old, my family, we were traveling back from a vacation, and we were going through the Atlanta airport. And as you guys know, the Atlanta airport's pretty big. They've got to have at least 100,000 people per day, and over 100 million a year. And so as we were getting off the plane, I turned over to my mom, and my mom told me, all right, we're going to gate D32. We have a short layover. It's about 30 minutes, so you got to be fast. So I turned and I started following my brother. He started running off the plane. And so he was running off the plane, and we made it out to the start of the A terminal. So we were walking through the A terminal, not walking, we were running. We were sprinting through. We keep going, I see him in the distance. I'm following him, and all of a sudden this huge crowd of people comes by, and he's gone. I can't find him. So, thinking maybe he's a little farther, maybe he's this way, so I keep following him past 822, 823, all the way down to 830, and to 835, and this is the end of the terminal, and I'm lost. So, me being 8 years old, I'm not really sure what to do. So I start walking back, and I walk to this lady that's walking a sandwich stand over here, and I ask her, hey ma'am, how can I get to gate D32? She points me over there, and she says, well, so you have to take a train to get to a different terminal. So I start walking back, and I'm thinking to myself, man, they couldn't have designed this any poorer. A train to go between the terminals. So I go down, I'm going down the escalator, and I get on the train. So I jump on the train, and next to me there's this man. And I remember his golden blonde hair as he stood on the pole, and he asked me, son, are you lost? I said, well, my parents are far ahead, and I can't find my brother, and I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to be. And so he said, well, when the lady over the speaker says we're in Terminal D, that's when you get off. You can go up there. So I waited a minute with this man and heard over the speaker, next stop is in D as in David. So I got off the train and I walked up, and the man said, well, he pointed me in the right direction, and he said, just go up the escalator and find your way back to your gate. So coming up the escalator, and then I see my gate, and I see my mom. She's standing there with open arms. So I run up to give her a big hug. And she's bawling, crying. She's so happy to see me. And I also see my brother over there, and he's crying. And I suspect that's probably because he lost me. And so we ended up making our connection and making it back on time. And those people, those angels there really helped point me in the right direction to find my gate. And so if we take a look back at the gospel here, Jesus, in the gospel, Jesus is on the cross, and these are his final moments of life. There's a criminal on one side of him and a criminal on the other. These people have done terrible things, and they're paying the most brutal crime in the Roman Empire. So I'll read the gospel again here. So the soldiers, one of the criminals who was hanged there kept mocking him and saying, "Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And indeed we have been condemned justly, for we are getting what they deserve, and what we deserve for our deeds. But this man here has done nothing wrong." And then he said to Jesus, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And he replied, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." So here in the gospel, you see, despite all the terrible things this man has done, Jesus is there. Jesus shows this man that he is loved, and he points him in the right direction. He helps him and find that kingdom of heaven. I feel we all have this same desire in ourselves for good things. And we just need people to point out how to reach the kingdom of heaven and how to make it to the promised place there. So God values forgiveness, which is why he's there for Jesus in this moment. And in our lives, there's many ways this forgiveness can come. And another example is this priest, Father Greg, that I read about in this book called Tattoos on the Heart. And he sets up a missionary program for people where he helps them find jobs. So these are people that have struggled with criminal activities, These are people that have committed crimes and had all kinds of drug problems, and he's there to help try to get them back on their feet. And one man, his name is Jason, and he's had a lot of problems, and Father Greg tries to reach out to him and tell this guy that you are loved and you are the light of the world. So here in this passage, Father Greg says, "You are light. It is the truth of who you are, waiting only for you to discover it. So for God's sake, don't move. No need to contort yourself to be anything other than you are." Jason was who he was. He made a lot of mistakes. He was not perfect. And his rage called the shots for a good chunk of his life. And he was the light of the world. He fit the description. So here we can see Father Greg is telling this guy that he is valued, that Jesus loves him, and Father Greg is recognizing the value in this guy, which you can imagine that's got to be really empowering for someone when you feel like there's no one there for you. God is there, and God is there to help point you in the right direction. So as we go into our Thanksgiving break and we finish up this week of school, I challenge you guys to live virtuously, to forgive others, and look to help point people in the right direction. And that can be in a lot of ways. That can be as simple as going and talking to a cousin that feels lonely at a Thanksgiving dinner, or reaching out to a friend that you know is going through a hard time. It can be in a lot of ways, and it can maybe even be helping an 8-year-old find his gate in the biggest airport in the world. And so I hope that each of us can strive to live virtuously as we go into this break. And we are all thieves. We are all angels. Jesus, remember us when you come into your kingdom.